Slightly different episode today, team. I have a fireside chat with a fellow who's turned his personal loss into a thriving little passion business that's making a very big difference.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, but you, right there, walking the dog, at gym, lying in bed, driving to work, I don't know, whatever you're doing, are a motivated small business owner ready to crank out some great marketing. And good on you for tuning in to today's show, which is lovingly, and I say very lovingly, brought to you by Netregistry, who get your online marketing sorted, and the good guys at 99 Designs, the world's largest graphic design marketplace, where you get a guaranteed design that you will love. Righto, big show today. Kind of, like, what's the word? Melancholy? Like that word, melancholy. Somber? No, it's not somber, but it's an interesting interview. I have a fireside chat with a fellow by the name of John Maher, who lost his daughter in a car accident, and he's devoted his entire life now to ensuring it doesn't happen to others. Now, there's a few emotional triggers in the interview, so if you have lost someone close to you, then you may want to listen cautiously. Not sure how you do that. Maybe you don't listen at all, but just giving you a heads up front. I also tackle a listener question from someone wanting to break into the glamorous world of marketing. I've got a whinge. Yeah, going to share a whinge. It involves you. Don't be scared. That's coming up shortly. And I have got an inspiring marketing quote that I stole. Yeah, pilfered from Guy Kawasaki. And I've made a slight alteration to it, so it's now my own. Gotta love that. As per usual, there is marketing gold dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Righto, let's start with this question I got from a listener. I haven't done a listener question for a while. I answer all the marketing questions inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum, but I did get this one, and I would love to help this person, who I can't name because they don't want me to. So thank you for listening. You know who you are. This person says, I'll try not to even mention gender. See how I go there. This person says, hey, Timbo, I'm a huge fan of your podcast and I love your advice. Love that. Love getting those little kind of one-liners. Thank you. I'm a 27-year-old, giving away a little bit, thinking about a career change into marketing. I studied graphic design. I'm giving away a lot now and left school when I left school, but I feel marketing might be a better fit for me. I live in beep, but I'm looking to make the move to beep and thought what better time to try for a marketing job. My issue is I don't have any marketing quals. That's all right. My question is to you, do companies ever hire people in marketing based purely on passion and personality? Oh, I love those two P words. Or do I need a qualification? And if it's a qualification, can I do an online course or a degree, blah, blah, blah? Help, this person says, and says, P.S., keep up the awesomeness. Now, anonymous person, great question. Are people looking for qualifications when hiring a marketer? Yes and no. Some businesses want, the rational marketer, the stats-driven marketer, the one that has to back everything up with hard numbers. Others want an emotionally driven marketer. You know which one I am. There is no right or wrong answer. In fact, good marketing teams have a mix of both. My advice is this. Build a personal brand. Work hard. And you've already got, I notice, your own personal blog and website under your name.com, but your blog's not working. So start to populate your blog. Start to have opinions. Start to have a personality. Develop a brand personality around yourself. Have strong opinions about whatever area you want to have strong opinions about. Start to blog, do videos, maybe even do a podcast, write a book, whatever it is. Populate populate your LinkedIn profile really well. And that way, if someone does check you out, a future employer does check you out, they're going to go, no qualifications, but geez, the school of life has been very, very good to this person. Start to read more, listen to podcasts, hey? And be proactive. Start knocking on doors. I don't think any of us do that enough, whether you're looking for a job in marketing or looking for your next client. Knocking on doors is a very powerful strategy. You know, we talk a lot about online marketing. Get offline and start to explore people face to face. Crazy concept in this virtual world, I know. If all else fails, do a course. Support for the Small Business Big Marketing Show comes from 99 Designs, the world's largest graphic design marketplace, where you fill out a simple online brief, then let designers from around the world compete to deliver a design you'll love. I got talking to their head honcho, Patrick Llewellyn, who described the excitement small business owners feel when using the service.
You know, a lot of our customers are starting something new and you know, it might be their first foray in small business, and, you know, getting your logo design, your brand identity started is kind of the first thing that you do that's really tangible, you know, and it's something you can start to show off to your friends and say, hey, I've finally done it.
99 Designs, a place to show off to your friends. For a free $99 upgrade on your first design, visit 99designs.com/SBBM.
Get on Timbo's mailing list over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.
Righto. So there's no check-in this week in this week's episode. It's being replaced by a whinge. Stick with me though. You can have a crack afterwards if you think I'm just being a, poor little podcaster. So listen, I get a lot of email. Start with that. I'm positive I get a lot of email from listeners and I love it. I love hearing what you like, what you don't like, what this show's doing for you and your business. It inspires me. It helps me get up in the morning. This one's from Robbie Wally from Albany Fuel Service. There you go, little plug, Robbie. He says, hi, Timbo. Love the show. And now I hang out for the new podcast with the same anticipation as a Game of Thrones episode. Man, I know how addictive Game of Thrones is. I haven't watched it, but my kids and wife love it. So that's pretty cool. I've been telling all my small business owner friends about your show and how much marketing gold is there flowing out of the headphones every week. Inspiring interviews that help me keep motivated. So I love that. And it got me thinking. I have a major frustration at the moment. Whilst I get lovely emails from you, the listener, I'm getting very little interaction on the show notes, which made me think maybe listeners don't know what show notes are. You often hear me say, be sure to leave a comment on the show notes. Some episodes I've had up to 30 comments. Other episodes, tumbleweeds. Absolute tumbleweeds. And I kind of get why, because you are, as I said at the top of the show, you're walking the dog, you're driving to work, you're in the train. I might even be putting you to sleep at night. It's not the time when you're going to race off to my website and leave a comment. So I kind of understand that podcasting can have that poor conversion. But I am here right now to encourage you to leave a comment in the show notes. So the show notes for each episode are like a blog post. So every time on smallbusinessbigmarketing.com a new episode goes up, I write a summary of the episode, what you're going to learn. I share some tweetables. I share my marketing quote, links to my guests' businesses and other things that I mention, like kind of wrap the show up and put it all in a written form in the show notes. Being a blog post, you can leave a comment. Being a comment, I read them and respond to every single one. And I love getting those comments because it lets me see what's on your mind, what you're thinking about the episode, and it leads to constant improvement on my behalf, which benefits you because you're going to get a better show if I see what you're thinking. So what am I saying? I would love you each and every time, I know it sounds demanding, to leave a comment in the show notes. when you listen to an episode. It's also good for your SEO because if you leave a link with your website in it, links back to your website, that's a backlink for you. And my website's got a bit of Google juice about it. So there you go. That's a bribe. So one other thing is iTunes. iTunes is another place where you can leave a listener review for the show. I can't reply to them because iTunes don't let me. So my whinge there is, come on iTunes, make the listener reviews commentable. Is that a word? By the podcaster. As an aside, leave a comment in the show notes, but also if you could leave a listener review, that's great. Geez, how demanding is that? I kind of been putting it off because I kind of I value the fact that you listen to this show. Now I am demanding more. I can't pop out of your headphones and kind of, shake you into action. But there you go. Enough from me. Let's get on with the show. Support for the Small Business Big Marketing Show comes from Netregistry, a one-stop shop for getting your online marketing sorted. They can get you a website address, also known as a domain name, a website, a place for that website to live, that's called hosting. They can even get you found on Google. And recently, thanks to the crazy amount of acronyms the online marketing industry has created, I played a game of one-upmanship with Verity Maher, their Chief Marketing Officer, aka CMO. I'll raise you an SEO for an SEM.
Yes.
What have you got?
I do a PPC off your SEM.
Okay. For your PPC, I'll give you a DNS.
For your DNS, I will give you a GTLD.
I have no idea what that is. For your GTLD, I'm just going to give you a TLD.
A TLD?
Yep.
So for your TLD, I'll give you a CCTLD.
For your, this is not so much an acronym, but for whatever you just said then, I'm going to give you a C panel.
Oh, so we've moved into brand names.
Is that a brand name? I just thought it was a long acronym. Crazy, isn't it? Luckily, Netregistry works hard at being an acronym-free zone. Head over to netregistry.com.au and get your online marketing sorted once and for all. No acronyms, no big words, no tech talk. Just a bunch of helpful guys and girls wanting to improve your digital footprint. And tell them Timbo sent you. Oh, hang on. Digital footprint. Is that tech talk? Okay, so let's get stuck into today's interview. It is with a fellow by the name of John Maher, Maher. You can find him at johnmaher.com.au. As I said up the top, there are some emotional triggers in this interview. So if you have lost someone close to you, particularly in a car accident, listen with caution. I got an email from John a few months ago saying, "Hi, Timbo. I speak at secondary schools on road safety, speak at about 80 schools a year, won some awards. In fact, I've been nominated in 2013, 14 and 15 for Australian of the Year awards, which is pretty cool for his work within schools. I'm qualified to give these presentations because I lost my daughter Carmen, aged 18, the youngest of our four daughters, in a car crash. And for the past 17 years, I've run my very own personal road safety campaign. Regards, John." And it was a request for an interview. It is not the usual interview. It's not as if John is the gun marketer, right? Which is normally the criteria for a guest on this show. But personally, selfishly, I've got 3 teenage kids. One started driving a few months ago, already had his first ding, and I just felt that I wanted to help John spread the message. He's very passionate. There are some marketing lessons here. I'll share 3 with you after this interview. But as I said, not the usual interview for the Small Business Big Marketing Show. But I did start off by asking John, what's his superpower?
Well, my superpower, I guess, is to be able to educate and influence particularly students in the area of road safety. That's where I get my buzz, and when I look into the eyes of these young future drivers looking back at me, I know that I'm touching their hearts and making them understand.
So, John, a while ago now, you were in the unfortunate situation of having not one but 2, you were personally involved in one car accident and then your daughter another. Can you just briefly tell us about what happened way back then?
Yes, Tim, in 1993 on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, I thought I was going to a cricket function actually, and instead I was going to a car crash, and I drove into Axtell, which is a beautiful town just outside of Bendigo, and I was in the 80 kilometre zone slowing towards 60, and I saw a four-wheel drive come towards me out of the 60 kilometre zone. It would have only been doing 70 kilometres an hour. It lost control and veered across the road really quickly in front of me, so I came to a complete stop on the highway and watched as I thought it was going to crash into the trees on my side of the road. Instead, it swerved back, rolled, bounced up in the air and landed upside down on the roof and bonnet of my car. The result was that Emma, who was only 18 years and 24 days, she'd had her licence for just 23 days when she lost control of her car. She lost her life, unfortunately, in that car crash, and tragically. And I was really seriously injured, and so much so that I was told that I would never work again. And it's been a long, hard road.
At that time, you were an insurance broker, correct?
I was the manager of an insurance company in Bendigo. I had 34 advisors who I was looking after, and the staff, of course. Very, very successful. We were in the top 10 in Australia in offices around Australia.
So you've got a rocking little career going there. Next thing you know, that career has possibly been put on hold forever due to your injuries. But did you ever make it back to work in that capacity?
Not in that capacity, Tim, because one of I didn't realise at the time, but the worst injury that I received was a brain injury, a frontal lobe injury, and I've got really bad short-term memory problems from that, which means that obviously you can't remember or give the good financial advice that you once were able to give, and it meant that I really couldn't educate and train the people that were working with me at the insurance company. So,
when did you go back to work and what did you do?
Yeah, well, what happened was 2.5 years after that car crash, I'd resigned myself to the fact that I was probably never going to work again. I was lucky enough to be on income protection from the insurance company. Thank heavens I'd taken that out. But 2.5 years after that crash, my youngest daughter, Carmen, was taking her best friend into work at McDonald's in Bendigo. And on the way home, Carmen, who was aged 18 years and 3 months, went to sleep at the wheel and crashed into a tree and was killed instantly. And my eldest daughter, Michelle, actually found her on the way to work. So it was an incredibly tragic and terrible time in our lives. And it was about 2 years after that when 4 young students were killed in Bendigo again that I said that I must do something about this and stop feeling sorry for myself and make these young people, our kids, understand who they are, how much we love them, how much we're going to miss them when they do these types of things in cars. And that's when I went back to work. I started writing to schools and giving talks at schools on road safety and educating the young people, the years 10, 11 and 12 students who are learning to drive and who are our future drivers on our roads.
Before we go there, and I've got to say this is one of the harder interviews I've done, having 3 teenage kids, one who's just started driving. And I walk the line of, it's such an emotional story, and yet as we talked about before we hit record, this is obviously a marketing show, but I'm interested to know, at that time, so you're in a terrible accident, your daughter Carmen is killed in a terrible accident 2.5 years after yours. At that point, how do you dig yourself out of that hole in order to, and I'm assuming it's a very deep hole, people handle things in different ways, how do you dig yourself out of that to then start this business that I want to talk to you about?
Tim, thankfully, most people don't understand how deep that hole is because they've never been touched by that. But unfortunately in Australia, we're not unique. Many people are in this particular hole and they have to work their way through it. In Emma's case, the young girl who died in my car crash, her mum and dad split up 8 months after the car crash and never got back together again. After we lost Carmen, I was in my doctor's surgery being examined for my injuries, of course, and Dennis said to me, he said, "John, you are going to have to work really hard at getting past this and you have to work hard at keeping your family together because families split up over incidents like losing their children or a family member. And it was hard work. We really we spoke about it, we discussed it, we kept talking about Carmen. That was one of the most important things, was to keep Carmen in our lives and be prepared to face a discussion about Carmen that was going to be hard and tear at our hearts, and all of us be happy with everybody crying about it and just loving each other and holding each other and supporting each other.
Talking.
Yes, that's all you can do is talk your way through it and support each other, because Carmen was gone, and you can't live with a daughter or a sister for 18 years and 3 months and then just say, well, that's part of life. Because, do you know, for all these years down the track, Carmen is still incredibly a huge part of my life. In fact, I thank Carmen for giving me my life back. She sent me back to work. She gave me my life back and allowed me to go to schools and to corporate Australia and speak to them about road safety. And, you know, every single person in Australia and New Zealand, where I speak a lot as well, everyone uses the roads almost on a daily basis. And this is I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. It's the safest country in the world. However, we all take our lives in our hands out there on the roads every single day.
John, the fire in your belly that was lit at some point to now become this almost I can feel the preacher in you. You know, like to just get out there and really drill home this road safety message. Can you remember the day when the fire was lit for you to go, you know what? Yep, I got badly injured in a car accident. I've lost my daughter in a car accident. There must have been a downward spiral at which point you bottomed out and you've gone, hang on, nah, look out, guys, here I come. Can you remember that day?
I can remember exactly that day because I got the Bendigo Advertiser, and on the front page of the Bendigo Advertiser was the car crash where these 4 young students were killed in Bendigo. And I said, stop feeling sorry for yourself, get off your backside, do something about this. I was good on the computer, I could do a PowerPoint presentation, and I said, I am going to go to the schools and see if I can stop these kids from doing this to their parents and their brothers and sisters and their friends.
Why did it take for those 4 young people to be killed? Because you'd already lost a daughter. What was it just, I mean, that sounds like a cold question, but you know.
It's a great question. It's a great question, Tim, because do you know what? I was feeling sorry for myself.
And rightly so.
I was feeling sorry for Ange, and I was feeling sorry for my girls. I was feeling sorry for Carmen's friends. And the hole was so deep and black, I couldn't see any light at the end of that tunnel. And that newspaper article, those 4 boys, along with Carmen, gave me the drive to do what I am now doing, and I know that I am making a difference, or Carmen, through me, is making an enormous difference in the lives of so many people.
So what did you actually do? That you saw the headline, four young boys killed in your local area.
Yep.
What did you do? Did you realise, hey, did you go and write the PowerPoint presentation, or did you contact that day? That day.
I did it immediately. I sat down and I put the PowerPoint presentation together. Back then it was pretty bland, I guess, but it's a lot better now. But what I did do then was I contacted the schools, and the very first school that I contacted was Catholic College in Bendigo, where I educated all of my 4 girls. And 3 of the boys who had died in that car crash were all from Catholic College. So, do you know, when you talk about kids and families being affected by this, schools are tremendously affected by their students being killed and badly injured in car crashes, because these kids go to school every day with these kids and all of a sudden they're not in their lives, and it affects schools enormously.
So you got your slide deck in hand, you go and knock on the local Catholic school, they say, yep, come on in. Geez, mate, that must have been the hardest 20 minutes on stage you've ever done.
It was. It was incredibly difficult, but what I can tell you is about 12 months before I lost Carmen, I was asked by the Young Christian Women's Association to give a talk to them about my car crash. And I got 10 minutes into it in front of about 40 women, and I burst into tears and packed up all my gear and walked out and crying. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to do that again. However, when I was at the schools, it seemed different. I'd seemed to have grown into it, I guess, and I had a purpose, and that purpose was to make a difference in everyone's lives and tell them all about Carmen and tell them how easily we lost Carmen and how vigilant everybody must be on the roads and that they have a role to play. And it's not, and I didn't understand that the day that we lost Carmen. Carmen was the lucky one that day because Carmen had died. She left us, though, with an enormous burden. We were the unlucky ones because we have to live the rest of our lives without Carmen, and that's what the kids understand when I talk to them at schools.
So you started to realise, I guess, then after doing however many school talks, that this was it's your way out. This is your opportunity to affect change in the world, and I guess all of us, whether we know it or not, or whether we like it or not, are put on this earth to do something, to make some kind of difference.
Yes.
Big, small, who knows? We don't know the answer to that, but you'd found it. You have found it. I can hear it in your voice, mate. I mean, I don't know. Part of me, on researching, talking to you, I'm like, how do you get up every day and have to share this story? But I know the answer to that, but it still can't be easy because it's just it's a story just full of personal tragedy.
Well, it is, but do you know? And I stand up and in front of corporate as well, and I can get emotional, but I don't. I'm able to control it. And
how?
Well, almost by biting my tongue, because I refuse to allow myself to cry in front of people. Do you know where I cry? I cry in private. I cry when I'm driving home from the schools or from a corporate function.
You found your way out of the doom, of the gloom and doom.
Yes.
How have you brought your wife and daughter along on this very positive ride?
Well, I have 3 other daughters as well. Yeah, Michelle, Katrina and Jasmine, and we have 6 grandchildren and 3 son-in-laws. They've all been along on this ride as well. And my daughters and Ange have all been to several presentations that I've given. The last one was a corporate one out at Creswick, and they all advised me after that presentation that they never want to be invited again. So they won't be back because it's very, very difficult on them. Yeah. It's a lot easier on me, to be perfectly honest. But last year, Carmen's Road Safety won the 2014 Regional Achievement and Community Awards for Victoria, which was just absolutely amazing. And my 3 other families, Michelle, Katrina and Jasmine and their husbands, were down there, and Ange, of course, and it was just wonderful to share this award with them because they could see what Carmen and I are achieving, and we're being recognised for that achievement. And I've also been nominated for the last 3 years in a row for Australian of the Year, and I'm just an ordinary person. And it's not me being nominated, it's Carmen and her message, which I am so proud of.
Good on you, mate. A great story. Tell me then, turning this into, and this is again, walking on eggshells, you turn this into your ongoing business. You are now out there on an ongoing basis marketing yourself and Carmen and the message of road safety to young people. Tell us about how you build that business. Tell us about how you market it and to who.
Okay. Initially, I wrote letters to every single secondary college in Victoria, and it was tough work. Now I email, and I speak to 80 colleges a year, secondary colleges, some in Queensland as well. Queensland is actually growing pretty rapidly. And I speak to about 16,000 students a year. And what I do is I have to keep contacting them, although once a school gets me once, they keep me every single year on part of their education in the area of road safety for their students, which is just brilliant. But I'm looking for more schools. I just want to touch the lives of more young people to stop them from having a tragedy on our road.
And what's your offer? Is your offer to go in there and do is it a 1 hour presentation from you? Is it a workshop? What is it?
It is a 1 hour presentation. Curriculums are so tight, you must get in there and get out. And I have a 1 hour presentation. Sometimes it might be cut back to 50 minutes, but it really does need to be around about the hour to get the full message across and make the difference in these students' lives. And unfortunately, I do have to charge a fee. because I'm not sponsored by anybody, unfortunately. I'd love to be.
You're not a charity.
I'm not a charity, no, and I have to drive there and drive back and all of that type of thing. But schools struggle for funds, so I charge a very low fee for schools of $700. But corporate Australia has been wonderful with me over the past 4 years because especially the banking industry and the insurance industry, because of the time that I spent on income protection and how I worked my way back into the workforce.
John, I would have thought one of your ideal, so you're getting $700 from schools, but that doesn't put food on the table. That's just they're the hard yards. I would have thought, I love sharing the odd marketing idea on this show, and I'm wondering whether, corporations are full of parents. I also know that corporations love, the good ones love to do kind of family events. Is there an opportunity for you to package something up that, says to a bank or an insurance company or a big hardware store, whatever it is, to say, hey, listen, bring your kids along for an event with mum or dad who works here, and John's going to come and have a chat to us about road safety?
Yes, I've got all that prepared on a PowerPoint presentation, but I don't seem to be able to get in anywhere, and that's where I'm falling down in the marketing area.
John, I'll let you in on a secret. There's a few corporates that listen to this show. I call them cubicle escapees, right? And they listen in secretly, very low volume in case the boss hears.
Yes.
But they're listening in, trying to figure out how to escape the cubicle.
Yes.
Whilst they're trying to figure out how to escape, I suggest that they contact you over at John Maher, maher.com.au, and get you in for one of those corporate family days, mate. I remember my old man used to work at the National Bank, and they used to have family days. We used to have 3-leg races and egg and spoon races. I love them.
Yes.
Get on it.
Look, I agree 100% with you. I've contacted companies and told them that what I build will be a relationship between the company and the employee, because the employee will understand that this company is very caring and understands how easily a life and a family can be changed.
Absolutely. John, thank you for sharing, mate. It's a beautiful story. I see it's, from where you've come from, what's happened to what you're doing now. I admire it, and may it continue and grow, and that you do break into that corporate market in a much bigger way, because that's where the message is going to start to be leveraged exponentially. And I know people can hit you up on Twitter. It's at Carmen, Carmen, road safety without the Y. So
thank you, Tim. Yeah, that's great. And I can honestly say that I have the best job in the world. I'm talking about Carmen every day.
Good on you, John. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, there you go. Hope there was something in there for you. There certainly was for me. It wasn't an easy interview to do, but I hope you enjoyed it, benefited from it. Do hit John up over on Twitter at Carmen, Carmen, road safety without the Y. And let him know you heard him on the show, or maybe you could help him get some speaking gigs, particularly in the corporate world. 3 lessons, thanks to Netregistry and the very good folks at 99 Designs, that I took from that fireside chat with John. Number 1, we've all got a message to share. It doesn't have to be an emotional one, just one that you're passionate about and that can positively impact a core group of people. Have a think about what that message is. Maybe to do with your business, it might be a new business. Don't know. Live your passion, share it. Lesson number 2, create a PowerPoint slide deck. It's a great way of pulling that message together. If you ever do want to form, a powerful message, crafting it in PowerPoint where you kind of, share the problem up front, then a few slides that show the solution, and then wrap it up in a bow at the end by summarising it all. It's a really interesting way of pulling it together. You may never use that slide deck, but it may just kick your thinking into action. Lesson number 3, be constantly looking for alternate ways to get your product or service into new audiences. John started with schools, and he's now working hard at building a corporate audience. So, just when you think you've exhausted all channels, maybe there is someone or a group of people out there who would benefit from knowing about your product. They're my top 3. As I said, head over to the show notes for episode 247 over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and let me know what you thought.
Hi, Timbo. It's Arn from signatureclothing.com.au, a business wear specialty store. I've been a listener from show 1 and forum member for over 2 years. Every show has delivered tips and tricks to market a small business. I'm going through the back catalogue again and drilling in for the old nuggets to piece together a marketing strategy with minimal cost and maximum impact. Sharing these ideas in the forum and getting feedback from other small business owners just saves time, energy and money that would otherwise be wasted with trial and error. Love your work, buddy.
Oh, and you are a great man. Mate, you've had a lot of mentions on this show, but deserved, because you are constantly engaging with the show, in the show notes, on the show's Facebook page, in the forum. Love your work, mate. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful testimonial. Now, today's marketing quote, I kind of altered. Guy Kawasaki kind of wrote it, came up with it, but I've changed a word. Here is what it says. If you have more money than brains, you should focus on outbound marketing. If you have more brains than money, you should focus on helpful marketing. The word I changed was helpful. Guy talks about inbound marketing. You know how much I love helpful marketing. You're standing on a mountain of knowledge, team. It's time to share it.
Welcome to a small business marketing show.
Join the Small Business Big Marketing community and have your marketing questions answered by other motivated business owners, including Timbo, over at crankmymarketing.com.
That is almost the end. Not quite. Plenty of marketing gold coming up, though, in the coming weeks. I'm even working on pulling together some past episodes and creating a few best of episodes going forward. There is a lot of marketing gold sitting in the archives of Small Business Big Marketing, and this show's in its 6th year, and I hate the thought that all that stuff's getting buried as I create new content. So yeah, going to pull that together with my legendary producer, Daz. I know you're listening, Daz. Why? Because you're editing this show. Hey, if you're serious about taking your business to the next level, then do join hundreds of other motivated business owners inside my forum. That's the Small Business Big Marketing Forum. Head over to crankmymarketing.com. Join for a month and feel the power. And if you've got a conference coming up, then I'd love to share my marketing keynote with you, my helpful marketing keynote. You can book me over at timreid.com.au. Be sure to use Netregistry to get your online marketing sorted. Why wouldn't you? You focus on what you're good at, let them do what they're good at. And grab your free $99 design upgrade over at 99designs.com/SBBM. That stands for Small Business Big Marketing, in case you were wondering. Until next week, I'm Timbo Reid. You're not. That's stupid. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.